Alright, so we're back again, and this time we're going to take a deeper dive and look at the autofocus between the A7 III and the A7 IV. One of the things that I really wanted to do was try the test again with some prime lenses, and that includes the Sony 50mm f1.8, the Sony 85mm f1.8, and just my Tamron 28-75 f2.8. Just kind of giving a little bit of background on the A7 III. I've shot a ton of B-roll and product shots using my prime lenses, and most of my travel stuff is all shot on my Tamron 28-75. That initial video I uploaded, I kind of viewed it, and I found that it did a pretty bad job showing the differences in the autofocus, because the lens I was using is that kit 28-70, and since the f-stop is pretty high, it was pretty much in focus the entire time as I was walking to and from the camera. And the only difference that you could tell maybe was that the A7 IV, because of the eye autofocus, managed to get that portion of my face in focus more, but it's still it's hard to see. And so I really wanted to see what happens if I stop it down to lower f-stops. And so this first lens we're going to look at is the 50mm f1.8, and to be honest, it's a lens I stopped using on my A7 III for video because I found it to be just generally slow. It was pretty loud, and the focus does this jittery thing, especially at f1.8, where it does this overfocus and defocus, and it's just very jarring to video, especially B-roll, because you notice it. However, on the A7 IV, it's a different story. The focus is buttery smooth, and I've just found it to be slightly slow. So in these example shots, like the plane that you see in focus, I would like it if it was a little bit faster, so as I'm panning down, it's able to keep up, but it's still a much more usable shot compared to the A7 III. Now, I am using the same settings for both cameras on focus, so it's set to responsive 5 and wide focus area. Now, on the next lens that we're going to look at, which is the Tamron f2.8, I've personally never had issues with this lens. I've never been in a situation where I've gone out to shoot and I review the shot later on, on my computer, and been like, oh, I completely missed that shot. But I was surprised to see that it's a similar story on the Tamron. So when I'm focusing from close to far, the A7 III has difficulties coming back to that close focus, and I never noticed this before when I used my camera, but I do now, having them side by side with the A7 IV, and it's a pretty big difference in terms of how it's able to grab the focus. So the next lens is going to be the 85 f1.8, and on the A7 III, I found this lens to be insanely fast, especially for the price. And everyone tells you go Sony native lenses, go Sony native because it's awesome, and I tend to agree with that. But trying it on the A7 III and the A7 IV, it's basically the same story as the Tamron. When you're going from close focus to far focus, the A7 III has a hard time grabbing that close focus again from far focus, and it doesn't know. Versus the A7 IV, it seems to know the subject is changing as I'm panning down, and it's able to pull that focus right away. Versus the A7 III tends to do this thing where it punches in when it realizes that the subject has changed. So in general, I think that now if you look at these prime lenses, the A7 IV in video mode is a definite upgrade from the A7 III. The new real-time AF is super accurate. It rarely loses the face. If you have an A7C, it should be almost identical. The AF is so improved, it makes lenses that I previously thought were unusable, especially shooting pretty much automatic focus in video, like the 50mm f1.8, very usable, and now I can use it for B-roll and other shots that I wouldn't have on my A7 III. And on lenses that I previously thought were amazing, like the Tamron and the 85, it also improves, and it's a very surprising improvement. So to conclude this video, my verdict is that the A7 IV is significantly better in autofocus, and you tend to see this especially on lower f-stop lenses. If you use them back to back, you're going to notice it, especially these example shots that I'm showing you right now. So if you guys like these type of videos, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.